Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Twist Gaming. We are here live from Gen Con 2018 in Indianapolis, Indiana, continuing our all-day live coverage of Gen Con, where we have had some amazing publishers and game designers come on and show us the cool new stuff that they've brought to Gen Con. And our today's guest and now's guest, Chris, is no exception. Chris, you are here with Level 99 Games.
That's right.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And when you came in, you told me you brought me all the stuff.
I definitely brought all the stuff. We have a lot of new stuff.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have two things right here that we wanted to start with. So I'm going to give you this box here for Exceed, and you can tell me what is going on with Exceed.
So Exceed is basically a 2D fighter for your tabletop.
Okay.
Games like Street Fighter or Guilty Gear, those kind of games. Mm-hmm. The card game. The game comes with 4 characters.
Okay.
And each character is a deck that's non-customizable. So we designed the game as this is the character's kit. Yeah. And to be replayed in like in a matchup kind of setting.
Okay.
Right? The game is played on a board, so things like movement and spacing is relevant in this kind of game.
Okay.
Right? But we made it really accessible. We made a game several years ago called BattleCon.
Okay.
And this is basically the 30-minute streamlined card game version.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So card game version, but still you're telling me it's played on a board.
Yeah. I mean, like it has spaces. You put cards out as spaces.
Okay.
And you create the board with cards.
Okay, I understand. So, and now this game is not a brand new release. You said that what is the new release? Is the expansion?
Yeah, so Exceed is a series, and each year we have a season of Exceed.
Okay.
And each season of Exceed is a different IP.
Okay.
So last year we did Red Horizon, which belongs to Jasco Games, and we put their characters in the Exceed system.
Very cool.
This year we used our own IP, Seventh Cross, and that's what came out here. And Seventh Cross is our upcoming adventure game, which is basically like a Castlevania dungeon crawl.
Okay.
So we put those characters in Exceed this year, and they feature new mechanics, and that's what Exceed is about this year.
Okay, and then, so if I grab Exceed now, it's going to be a good way to introduce me to the characters for the upcoming game.
Absolutely. You can get familiar with the characters, and, we've really streamlined the games. That's like, rules are more cleaner, text is cleaner, and people, this set for us has been very popular.
Awesome.
So just burning it.
So if I purchase this set of Exceed with these characters, are those, can I combine those with my previous seasons?
Yes, absolutely. So you can play any season versus any other season.
Very cool. Mm-hmm. All right. So Exceed, this is the new season. It's out now. Price point?
This box of 30 characters is $30.
Okay.
But you can get individual fighters for like 12 or 10, depending which
the character is. Mm-hmm. Very cool. And then we also have a game that has come out so quick.
So we have Professor Treasure's Secret Sky Castle. So this is developed, let me get his name right, I don't want to say it wrong. Jason D. Kingsley, he works with Foxtrot Games, and he did this small box game for us. Okay. And it's basically a 2-player puzzle game. The flavor is that two teams of bandits arrived at Professor Treasure's Sky Castle. Okay. And we're going to loot him as fast as possible.
That sounds like an excellent idea.
Right. So my team will collect keys, open chests, mm-hmm. and get as much treasure as I can against the other team of bandits, which is my opponent. Right. And there's characters that have different movement actions and tiles to move on the board. So my actions directly affect and make you getting treasure more difficult. Okay. But it's a very simple, lightweight game ultimately.
Oh, so first person to the treasure wins?
First person with most treasure.
Most treasure. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Available now?
Now available. This just came out at Gen Con.
Very exciting.
So this was really the first time we're really talking about it.
Very, very cool. So if you are still here at Gen Con and you want a closer look at any of these 2 games, what booth are we going to?
We are at 2149.
Very good.
I wanted to try to get it right, yeah. 2149.
And while these 2 games are really cool, the crowning jewel that we want to talk about today...
Yeah, so we have Temporal Odyssey. Let me get the box. All right. So, Temporal Odyssey is a drafting battle card game about dueling time travelers, mm-hmm. and it really is a mixture of those themes. Yeah, you want to look at the board?
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
So you know an awful lot about this game for some reason.
I know an awful lot about this game because I designed it.
There we go.
I was trying to be modest about it, but
I totally called you out.
yeah, I've been called out. So, yeah, you play as a time traveler,
Okay.
and the object of the game is to knock you out. Now, the problem is I'm a time traveler, and I can use my rewind time ability, and I just come back. But each time you use that ability, you must answer Lovox, the god of time.
Okay.
And he only has tolerance for you up to 3 instability cards. If I'm defeated when I have 3 instability cards, I'm banished from the timeline.
Okay.
There are multiple ways to destabilize the opponent time traveler.
Okay.
So you want to make that happen, and then you want
Until
to
he hits the 3? Until he hits 3?
Yeah, once I have 3, then you must defeat the time traveler.
Oh, okay.
All right, let me put those back. So what makes this game unique is, like I said, it's a drafting game. At the end of my turn, I'll be drafting from the past, present, or future,
Okay.
each with their own themes and different various classes.
Okay.
The game is modular, so at the start of the game, I've chosen several classes to put into these time periods.
Okay.
So each time you play, it's never the same.
Okay. How many classes are there to choose between?
18,
Okay.
right?
And how many do you choose per game?
9, 3 per time period,
Okay.
right? So I would, for example, I would draft at the end of my turn. I'll look at 3 cards. I'll choose one to add to my hand. I'll choose one to remove from the game, and I'll put one back on top,
Face up?
face up. So then that way, when it's your turn to draft, you know what the first card of your pick may be.
Okay. But it's still, I would still only pick the 3. I would still only pick 3 cards from the top of that deck.
That's right.
Okay.
Right? So let's say I have this guy now.
Okay. So here, let me get a closer look. So this is Drake Von Hearth, and this is going to be your time traveler. And now at the bottom, the rest there with you get to recover all of your spells. He's got 30 attack and 50 hit points, and that's your traveler. Does each person, is this a unique ability for this particular traveler?
Every traveler can rest, but the spells you get back are unique that make up basically your moves.
Okay.
So if you, we'll look here. I have 3 spells.
Okay.
Right? Let me put them in order real quick.
Yeah.
And it's an action point game, by the way. So I have 4 actions, and I will always use all 4 actions on my turn to do the things. Right?
Okay.
So
I'm going to grab Rapid Portal.
okay. So I could pay 3 AP to use the Rapid Portals effect. Now, what's interesting is this is how it combines with the draft. When I draft a character, you put them both together.
Okay.
Characters have sigils. And if I have certain sigils, my spells will become stronger.
So that's your sigil. That is these 2 sigils are what's related to this particular character.
Yes. So
Okay.
he's giving me 1 wind and 1 light. And because I have 1 wind, my Rapid Portal will get that level 2 effect in addition.
Okay.
If I have 2 wind sigils, then it'll be level 3. So I want to collect sigils to bolster my spells over the course of the game.
Right.
And, likewise, I want to destroy my opponent's characters to reduce their sigils.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the Rapid Portal spell. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go to the
Let's
ultimate
go
here.
to Sun.
So this is his ultimate, and I have to get all 3 of those sigils to get the bonus effect on that one.
Okay. And of course, this is green screen, so the flower is green, and the sigil down here is green and a little transparent.
Yeah.
That's the new expansion, guys. Is the transparent one.
This is transparent cards, right?
So if you get the combination of these 3 sigils, that's what's going to allow you to do the level 2. Okay. And how do I know that these spells go with that traveler?
Well, every traveler's deck is basically their starting hand.
Ah, okay.
Grab my
And the
notes.
backs of the cards here. So for this particular traveler here, we have Mr. F. He's a flower in a robe. And I'm guessing I'm going to know that this is his deck because that's the back of his cards.
Yeah, exactly. So my spells and my starting cards are just the Mr. F deck.
Okay.
It's only 6 cards.
Okay.
And the cards I gain will be mainly what we draft.
Okay.
It's kind of a hand builder because the choices I make go immediately to my hand, and then I can play them later in the game when I choose to.
Fair enough. Okay.
So that's how the spell system works. And again, Mr. F can use his ability to get back those spells.
Right.
So you always have access to those basic abilities that the traveler provides.
Okay.
All right. So we can look at the classes now. Let's see if you have any questions so far.
Yeah, no.
So, like I was talking about, there's 18 classes here.
Yes.
You can show them that deck.
There
Show
we
all
go.
the cool creatures available.
Okay, I'm going to save that one for last because that's my favorite. Okay, so this is one of the classes. So is is that the name of the class down here?
That's the name of the class, yes.
Okay, so there's the Lost, and then these sigils that are common in this particular deck class?
Yes. So if you're playing with the Lost, the X means that every character has two sigils. The X can be any sigil,
Okay.
but a Lost character always has Dark.
Okay.
And you would slip those reminder cards underneath the deck. So when you're drafting, you'd be like, I really need a Dark sigil. I might get a Lost character.
Okay, so I'm not gonna grab the past deck because that's green.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab the present deck here, and this is the pre-built one. And as you see, okay, here's the back of the card, has the present, and this is kind of how it's set up on the board now. These are the reminder cards you're referring to. And so for this particular past deck, you've chosen the Paladins, the Assassins, and the Warriors. So when I go to draw from my present deck for my 3 cards, then I'm going to look here and say, okay, well, I know that this deck has Paladins, Assassins, and Warriors in it, so it's going to be full of, random, of course, and I'm sorry, I don't know the class for this.
Yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Perfect.
So for sure, I
Captain
can get those
Planet.
sigils, and I can make these drafting decisions based on, do I want these sigils, or do I want them for the battle portion of the game?
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, now that we've get the idea of where the reminder cards come in, we saw that the Lost has the Dark. This art is really pretty. We have our golems.
And they're cool. They have 3 sigils.
Yes. Well, so if X is wild card, what is Y?
It's a different wild card that's not X. So he gets 2 different ones that are different.
Okay. All right. The beasts, massive damage. Also dark. Engineers, heal characters, elementals. What? Oh, these are all. Who did the art for the game?
It was done by various artists. Our lead artist was Adrienne Mata, and she's an artist up in Seattle.
Okay.
She just shipped a game called Banner Saga 3, so she does gaming stuff. She's pretty good at her stuff, yeah.
Very, very cool. So, as the lead artist, was she the one combining other artists for this particular project?
She worked hard to unify the artists onto the style of Temporal Odyssey, which is generally a mix of American and anime. It's bright like anime, but we have like American faces.
Yeah.
So to nail that, we wanted to have an art director to pull everything together and also really bring it together to give each time period a unique feel.
So, and I can use any one of these classes in any of my 3 decks, past, present, and future. That was the coolest one. And it's a yellow dragon, guys, but it's a dragon, and dragons are my favorite.
There are classes that are past only or present only.
How does that notated? Like, how, if I'm looking through these classes?
So the way you would pick the game away is you would take out, let me get a certain class here.
Sure.
You know what, I'll get the ancients because they're your favorites. Right?
That works. I like it.
So they're the ancient cards and the reminder card, and it's stacked like this. So that way you could.
Okay.
It's like a cover, and then every card beneath it is cards for that class.
Gotcha.
And then you would take the reminder card out and shuffle it into the past deck.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So then I stole the ancients. All right. So now we understand a little bit more about the various classes. We understand the past, present, and future deck. You've taken. So when you're gonna let's start back from the beginning. You take your turn.
Mm-hmm.
You have the 4 actions.
I have 4 actions, always only.
Okay. So you can choose from those 4 actions to
play cards, use abilities, play spells. It's basically the game's mana.
Okay.
But it is static. It almost never increases.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me give you a quick dummy turn, and I can talk about this game is asymmetrous.
Okay.
Which means it doesn't have out of turn, like I blow you up kind of stuff.
Right.
I have my turn, the end, and then you have your turn. So a lot of the decisions I make in this game to defend myself happen actually on my turn, and it gives a very puzzle-like feel to like, how can I break through this guy's defense?
Okay.
So I'll show you a turn that I can talk about the design of that.
I like it.
All right. So we'll use Mr. F because he's a flower.
That's great.
Right. Right. So the game begins with Mr. F and your tower in play. I have my 3 spells and my 3 basic cards in my hand, and I'm going to play some cards.
Okay.
First, we're going to play my mercenary. Actually, we're going to play the scout. All right.
Okay.
So scout, he has costs 2 diamonds. So we put 2 AP on him.
Okay.
And you always put your action points on the cards. It is a game mechanic that if a card has action points on it, it's done.
Okay.
If you take those action points off the card, it can do something again.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of how we
So it's important to.
It's actually important to put the action points on the card.
Okay.
Then we will play this mercenary, right?
Okay.
I have no more AP because I've used all 4.
Okay.
Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange my cards to defend myself for my against my opponent. Because I only have 50 health. That seems really easy to just defeat me. Right?
Is it? Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll put them like this. And I put them in groups of 2. So when you put them in groups of 2, and we're going to pretend this is where the enemy is, right? They can only attack the characters in the front.
Okay.
So if they want to get to Mr. F, they have to defeat his tower first.
Okay.
In addition, characters have defensive abilities that share with the whole group. So we have shield on this tower, which means if you use targeted effects, it costs 1 more AP. So if you wanted to shoot Mr. F, you have to pay an extra AP, right? We also have Scout over here, who has a different defensive ability, which gives him armor, right? So if we put him in the same group, if I did this as my defensive option, this group would have armor and shield.
Okay, and
Right.
these would be vulnerable.
Yeah, you still have to go through the front, but they don't have a cool defensive ability. But I can get this mercenary armor and give Mr. F shield. And each turn, I'm going to rearrange my cards to choose what I want to defend.
So this is not only important to be able to manage what you're playing out of your hand, but the positioning that you're putting them down in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the value of the cards changes very frequently. I might want to protect those 2 red sigils to do my ultimate, or I might want to protect my traveler, right?
Right.
And you're reprioritizing what your opponent can do. They have a certain amount of actions. Do I really want to take out Mr. F and spend my whole turn doing 1 damage, or do I want to, So you're making these defensive options to mitigate their choices.
Splitting it up.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So, and one of the things that you mentioned at the beginning of the stream is that Mr. F could come back 3 times, and then the 4th time is when he would finally get taken out. What's the typical play time for this game?
It's about 30 minutes.
That's surprising because
Yeah.
you're coming back the 3 times. All right.
You'll be surprised because this game is really about flavor-wise. It's about feeling epic, right?
Okay.
So everything in the game feels very powerful, and there's some combos, and people always pick up cards and they're like, "My God, that is powerful." But in the grand scheme of teams, it's just really normal, right? So people feel cool when they do things.
But because the things sound so epic already in the game.
Yeah. So let me give you an example. Like, you have to deal 3 instability cards. There's actually 3 ways to do it. So let's say I was bad and I grouped like this, right?
Right.
And I already had 20 damage.
Okay.
Drake can attack me. You put the AP sword side up.
Okay.
And Mr. F will take 30 damage. He would die. He'll be degrouped. And I gain 1 instability. So now I'll gain 1 of these.
Okay.
And Lovox, the god of time, will give me a sigil, a little bit of bounce back ability,
Okay.
and a little trash dog too. It's for a little fun. So some of them better than others. But
Again? Seriously?
Let me show you some of my favorites. It's a good one.
What do we got? I look forward to banishing you into an eternal limbo on exhibition of your failures. That's nice.
So Lovox is a jerk. So that's 1 instability, right?
Yep.
Other ways to give them instability. Let's say Drake played this artifact
Okay.
for 3 AP, which is a huge amount of turn.
Yeah.
It automatically destabilizes me, so I'll get a second one,
Okay.
right? So you can collect artifacts to do indirect damage that way.
Okay.
And finally, if Drake defeats any 2 units, let's say he wiped out this whole group over here,
Yeah.
these cards would go to my discard. Then they would, and once I have 2 in my discard, they'd be banished, and I would get my 3rd one.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Now he only needs to knock me out 1 more time.
Right.
Right? So sometimes people, if you do all 3 of them, then it's more effective than just doing any one of them at once.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to get to that 4th one, so then it's 3 hits. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on and showing us Temporal Odyssey. Is Temporal Odyssey available now? Right?
It is. Actually, we just released it at Gen Con, so
Very
this is like the
exciting.
2nd date it's available.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And if our viewers are not here at Gen Con, where can they go to learn more about Temporal Odyssey, about Level 99 games, keep up with all the information that you guys are putting out there and the games that you're releasing?
I'm actually going to say Facebook. Our Facebook page has subgroups for each of our games now,
That's cool.
and all the communities are very active. So if you're a fan of any series Level 99 makes, you can join those groups and find fans and find strategies. It's almost a forum at this point. So it's really active, and I recommend checking it out.
Very cool. What kind of a gamer is Temporal Odyssey going to attract for the very first time?
Temporal Odyssey was designed to be, it's a battle card game genre game. So if you like any of that kind of stuff, you'll definitely like Temporal Odyssey. However, with the action point system, I was trying to make the accessibility of the game significantly lower.
Okay.
So it's actually very easy to play. If you like a battle card game but you always feel overwhelmed, Temporal Odyssey is a great entry to that kind of genre.
Very cool. Chris, thank you so much for your time today, and thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And guys, stick around as we continue our all-day coverage here at Gen Con 2018 live.